Nobody has managed to get into the 217s, but James Bolden pointing it out, hammering it through Sector 1.
Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we are going to update you all on my real racing career. It's like an annual update. I do one pretty much once a year now. As you all know, I love making real life racing content. I love racing in real life hugely, and I owe it all to you as to why there's not more of it on the channel. It's the content that does the best on my channel is real life racing content. So I owe you an explanation and a story, I guess, as to why I'm not doing more of it. So let's get into it. Okay, where do we begin? So for those of you that aren't up to date with my history at all, then go and watch the video in the card above. It will bring you up to date as of 2022, where I did British GT, World's Fastest Gamer, all that stuff. And since then, all I've done really is the Spa 24 Hour. So biggest GT race in the world, I got the opportunity to go and do that. So I raised the budget required, which was around 75,000 or in and around that figure, which is a lot of money. So big up to the sponsor that did sponsor me to do that. Pace and performance was very solid considering I was out of a car for 2 years. I was fairly happy with it considering the circumstances as well, where the ABS failed. But again, if you haven't seen what happened in that race and qualifying, then go to the video in the card above. It will explain everything and you can see for yourselves how I got on and you can make your own judgment on that. But I, since then, continued the relationship with the sponsor that backed me to do Spa, and it was all going well. Towards the back end of 2022, I was spending a lot of time in general in the background of my sim racing career, developing various areas to appeal to sponsors and nurture sponsors and try and get them in a place where that they were happy to invest money into me. And I was working quite hard on various bits and pieces to make sure I was stronger in that area. And I was fairly confident that maybe towards the back end of 2022, especially because the sim racing was going really well as well, getting plenty of championship wins and race wins, and you know, it was all going very well. Hit a purple patch. And then I got to the back end of 2022, I was speaking to about probably, must have been a dozen sponsors, potential sponsors. And I thought at least one of them was going to sort of go for it. And I had a plan, you know, go to do GT World Challenge Sprint the full season, do Spa again. I've been offered 2 race drives, in one at Spa, another one in a different race where I didn't have to bring money. So they were sort of guaranteed drives, at least I thought they were guaranteed. And it was all looking really rosy. I was like doing that one race at Spa and putting in a half decent showing, it made the difference. And I was going to be doing a full season, which would have hopefully led on to more. I mean, that's half the battle in real racing, is getting on the grid to prove yourself so you can be up there as a potential factory driver for a manufacturer. But here's where it sort of went wrong. So when it got to the early stages of 2023, so late January, early February, that's when you really start, you need to get the budget required to pay the team so you can go to the test early on in the year, so you can integrate yourself in the team, so you can be fully prepped for the whole season. And obviously the first race is in like April time, first test is in March. So it got to like February and nothing was happening. None of the sponsors were really committing to it. None of them wanted to put that much money into it, or basically any money into it. The sponsor that backed me last year for Spa sort of ghosted me a bit, as some of these people do. They just sort of stop talking to you altogether. Kind of sucks really, but it is what it is. And all the other sponsors that I thought maybe might give me a little bit of budget in return for, obviously, you know, me trying to give value to their business, it didn't happen. And I ended up basically without any budget to go racing. In the ideal, or the plan was to do GT World Challenge Sprint. So that didn't happen. And then simultaneously at the same time, the Spa 24 Hour drive and the other race drive, the gradings required for the driver to fill the seat that I was offered changed from a silver to a gold. And I'm not a gold, I'm a silver. So that got sort of taken away as well. So both of those drives were off the table now. And hence why I'm sat here in this beautiful Mercedes chair with no drive for the 2023 season. Christ, getting ahead of myself. So yeah, I'm sat here with no drive for the full season. I have no budget to go racing. I have a good set of people helping me trying to find budget, which is really good. Very fortunate for that. I've done a lot of work in the areas required to raise budget, but still I'm sat here with no budget. So I'm still working on it. I'm not going to give up, obviously. I'm going to continue trying to find that sponsorship for next year, the year after, as long as I can, or as long as I desire to try and keep racing. And of course I'm sim racing full time for Mercedes as well, which obviously is mega keeps me very sharp, and how many people can say that? Not very many people. So I'm very fortunate, and I know I am, to be able to do that. But yeah, it's another year out, so it's not ideal. It's not ideal jumping into a car when you've been out of a car for a year or 2 years. Really not ideal. And yeah, a couple of weeks ago I did a community post where there were loads of comments about, I wish you were racing. And I appreciate all the comments, by the way. Thank you very much for the support. But there were a few comments that really intrigued me. It was about crowdfunding and allowing some of you guys or general viewers or subscribers to give their little bit to help with the funding, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all a monetary issue. It's all a financial restriction while I'm not on a grid. And I really didn't feel that great about doing this. But I'm just going to do it because why not? And someone did say to me, if all 76,000 of your subscribers donated £2.63, I'd be going racing in 2024. So I need £200,000 roughly. If you get in and around that figure, you can go to a team and you can really start to chat about options if you have that kind of money with you to pay for the seat for the year. So yeah, £2.63 times 76,000 is indeed 200,000. So just bear that in mind. Basically, what I'm saying is I will try crowdfunding. I'm not delusional. I'm very, very sure it probably won't raise the required budget. And so, first of all, the page, there's a link to it in the description below. Go and check it out. It's got some background story about my career and what I've managed to achieve in the years I have been racing. And if you don't know anything about me, then it's probably worth reading just to see what I've done in the past and stuff, and a bit about me. But there's absolutely no pressure from any single person to donate. The money that is raised, I'll use to benefit my racing career, whether that be a test, if I get enough to do a race. So I think, for a race of GT World Challenge, you're looking at 20 to 30,000. If I can get a little bit from it, I can go testing with it. I can go racing with it, whatever. It allows me to further my racing career, but also allows me to make content, which I suppose is the main thing for you guys. Is there'll be more driver's eye videos. I'm working on a system to maybe get a cameraman there behind the scenes to film the entirety of a race weekend or a test, so you really see what happens every second of the way, from when I get there in the morning to when I get in the car, from when I get out the car. So say if I spin off and do something wrong, what happens after that? So there's all these things that I could capture and I want to capture content wise. Yeah, because in real life racing content goes down a treat on the channel, as I said earlier. And I guess some of you may think why I don't just knock it on the head, trying to pursue a real racing career. I'm doing sim racing full time. It's a great job. It's a dream job. Why am I so persistent to try and make this work when, let's be honest, it looks like a bit of an impossibility given the financial restrictions in place? What I say to that is, with the limited track time I've had, I can see the potential success that's there, and I feel like I can be as competitive as I am in the sim racing space in real life. So if I can just find a way to get on these grids with a fair amount of testing, not the Spa 24 situation where I was out of a car for 2 years, I get thrown in the biggest GT race in the world, and I look sort of average. That really sort of ate away at me for a bit. What I showed in that race and that qualifying was not how good I can be. It showed me looking fairly average, being an average silver. But when you've had 2 years out of the car and you're thrown into a GT3 at Spa, when everyone else is doing a test pretty much every other week, or they're in a car, multiple times a year, it's really tough to sort of stand out. So another example as well is, the Alpine test, where we had 32 laps. Me and Jardier both had 32 laps each. The European GT4 time at Magny-Cours, I don't know what car it was in, but it was a 45.1. And in the Alpine, I was on old tyres, on a fair amount of fuel as well. I did a 45.7 in the 32 laps I was in there. So if you give me new tyres and low fuel, you take a second from that. Theoretically, it would have been pole by a few tenths. Obviously, you can't compare directly because it would have maybe slightly different conditions, different time of year. The track's the same though, it's the same car. What I'm saying is that the possibility and the potential really is there, given the same opportunity as some other real drivers, to be right at the front. At least I think anyway. That's what I believe. So yeah, the owner of the team that ran that Alpine test day, the next day he emailed me saying he'd love for me to drive for their team in 2023. The only drawback was that it was going to cost me 150,000 euros. So he was clearly impressed with what he saw. Again, with real racing, he requires budget for me to go and do that. I mean, it makes sense. The team needs money to run. So yeah, that is effectively my rant over. I don't like talking about myself in a in that kind of way, because I think it's just, you know, it's just not me. I don't like selling myself it makes me weird. But that's my pitch, my story. No pressure to donate anything at all. It's just, I've got to try everything to get on a grid. This is one of those things. If you do fancy donating, thank you very much. I'll keep an eye on it. The bottom line is I need to try and find some budget to race in 2024. If not 2024, in 2025. We keep going and we keep going until I'm too old, too slow, and then I'll call it a day. So thank you for hearing me out. I hope you found it interesting at the very least, and I guess I'll see you all in a video very soon. Yeah, take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.